Tropical storm Debbie, 9 a.m. Eastern time, still working its way through the Gulf of Mexico off the west coast of Florida. Thanks for joining us on this special edition of AccuWeather Weekend. I'm Constanzer.
And I'm Ariella Scalese, and this all started over a week and a half ago when a tropical wave moved off the coast of Africa. It had so many hurdles to overcome through the dry air, through Hispaniola, and we told you if it made it into the Gulf of Mexico, this would have huge impacts across the southeast United States.
Already states of emergency in states like Florida, for example. We've been covering it since July. As the storm pushes to landfall tomorrow, it'll be a Category 1 hurricane, and then beyond that, we go through the coast of the Georgia and Carolinas. And there's going to be some
island through South Carolina. You go about 100 miles or so farther to the south and west, and you find yourself in Savannah, Georgia, a city that I got to spend 2 years of my life living in, unfortunately covering hurricanes and all the damage they could do, especially when it comes to flooding in Savannah. So when you look at the exclusive AccuWeather 7-day forecast and you see something like this with thunderstorms just ahead of the tropical impacts today, and then look at this, rain and wind Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. We're talking at the very least 4 days here in a row with those tropical storm impacts here, and it's the slow movement of this and all of the heavy rain to come, plus followed by more thunderstorms from surge. Looking at future radar here and just the slow movement of Debbie as it continues to turn over the Gulf of Mexico through this afternoon and get the center of the storm to make its way farther north by 8 o'clock, still into southwest Georgia. To get those crews in place to make sure that the people that are in need during the course of the storm are getting the service that they need, and first responders as well. And what can be beneficial when you track these storms throughout the Atlantic, you do have sometimes a little bit more time to get prepared here instead of what we call the homegrown development. But what we have to watch for closely is this quickly intensifying here into a Category 1 hurricane at the least as it makes landfall into Florida.
Then it will be working its way over the Carolinas. The question will be exactly how far onshore or offshore this storm will be. Either way, it's likely to be a lot of rain for the Carolinas, so flooding is our biggest concern there.
All right, we appreciate you being with us here on this special edition of AccuWeather Weekend as we get you ready here and show you what's ahead. We're already getting video. We're going to be looking at a new update. We had Dan DePadua on the network earlier, one of our hurricane experts and senior forecasters, and he just did let me know we are increasing the AccuWeather Real Impact Scale to the United States to a 3. This is going to be incredibly impactful with the potential for some catastrophic flooding. When you look at a 3 on the Real Impact Scale, which takes into consideration more than just the wind speed, which is what the Saffir-Simpson scale shows, it shows widespread damage, including flooding.
We, of course, want you to stay prepared throughout hurricane season. That is always our goal here at AccuWeather because these storms can ramp up quite quickly when we talk about them. So for hurricane season, you got to prepare ahead of time, right? Create that plan. Hopefully you've already got that in place, and that's a check mark already off your list. The emergency kit, obviously you can find some of these supplies around still, but of course there's still more mandatory evacuations. That will be determined by your local government or emergency management. You need to know how you're going to handle that if you are in that mandatory evacuation zone. Of course, gather your food.